Hey, everybody, welcome. This is Joyce at Medusa Was Framed. I am here with my dearly beloved, good New York buddy, Andrew Zebrun lll. Hello, my love.
Hi, I'm from Western New York. Don't confuse me with anybody in Eastern New York.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Well, we're kind of getting into that. Well, the reason that Andrew and I have been doing a lot of shows together lately is because I've been doing a lot of shows about his part of the world, whether it's something about quirky things about the Great Lakes or things about the lock systems on the Erie Canal or the Buffalo World's Fair, or in this case, the story of Nikola Tesla's electric car. And just the other day, yesterday or the day before, I did one of my short videos. I think it's not even 15 minutes long, a little bit about the history of Tesla, just a little bit, very quick review, and a little bit about his electric car. And it's called Tesla's Whip. In fact, what I did, this was the YouTube thumbnail for it. I just added the word reviewing and with Andrew Zebrun lll to it. This is what you would look for, Tesla's Whip. So this is Andrew's backyard. Somewhere in his lineage, I know he's got an uncle or a grandpa or somebody who worked for Tesla, knew Tesla, something.
No, that's a friend of mine has that. My grandpa knew Henry Ford.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, he worked with the enemy.
Yeah,
He built Edison's cars.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. I thought, but anyway, you're in New York. Tesla did spend some time in Buffalo. Andrew's been in that part of the world all his life, essentially, not necessarily Buffalo, but around the Great Lakes region. And so what I'm enjoying doing is after I do my video, which is all just based on research, is we check in and he just gives me added this and that from living around this stuff and hearing colloquial stories and having personal stories. And of course, we're talking about Pierce Arrow vehicles, which was a massive part of Buffalo's reset dynasty, shall we say. Yeah. So what I was going to do is what we did the other night when I was having technical difficulties. Andrew just actually literally pulled up the video that I had done, turned the sound off, and we progressed through the pictures, and then we both talked about the pictures. And I thought that that went really well. It was really clean. And so I was going to proceed with that. Before we do that, do you want to add anything, Andrew?
I just want to say we got rave reviews on our last show, so.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the one about Clarence.
Yes.
Okay, great. So a subscriber and friend of both of ours, Gracielle is her first name. She also lives in the Buffalo area. She has been sending me photos of interesting things that she has discovered that she thought might make an interesting story if I was interested. And the video before this one, which was about Clarence, New York, and specifically my research started with a church, a wonderful old red brick Tartarian church that she sent me pictures of that she couldn't find any history on. I couldn't find any history about it either. It's as if the church doesn't even exist. In fact, the website to this church isn't even about that church. It goes to some church in Massachusetts. So, but discovered lots of other interesting things, fascinating things about Clarence, Clarence, New York. And Andrew knew a lot about that. So yeah, very fascinating place, actually. The video is called it's called Ransom for Gracielle. Ransom was the name of supposedly the city's founder, and it has a picture of a big, gorgeous red brick Tartarian church on the cover. So I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad people enjoyed that. I like it when something that I do or we do inspires people to start digging around on their own, digging their own rabbit hole.
Yeah, there's a lot to dig through, ain't there?
Oh boy, there's so much. but I appreciate the people who inspire that in me. So if I create that in somebody else, that makes me really happy. Okay, my friend, when did you want to wait until another point to pop up? You want to wait till later to pop up that website you wanted to share? I guess we should
Yeah.
wait till later.
Yeah, we'll wait till later for that one.
Okay, so I'm going to stop this share right quick because I'm going to go to okay, so this actually is the video in question, Tesla's whip, and I've got the sound turned off because Andrew and I are both going to run their mouths. I'll let Andrew, I think, at this point do most of the talking because this is one of the quick videos I do where I don't narrate it, but I just do title cards here and there. So Andrew, just tell me where to stop. I'm going to start advancing it.
Okay, I find it interesting that Niagara Falls is like the cradle of our modern civilization, and people don't even realize it. But when I was a kid, they took us up to Tesla's power project and took us in the building. The building is still there. I don't think they use it anymore, though.
The building, the Westinghouse building?
Yeah, the one they put at the falls.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think they use it because they put in the Niagara Vista power project after that in the 40s or 50s, and they built big, huge canals, and the water goes into a big holding pond, and then it goes to make power
Mm-hmm.
downstream up in between the falls and the mouth of the river. So it's interesting place, and it has a lot of history. And the fact that Tesla was driving a free energy car around in 1930s is
Mm-hmm.
just crazy, ain't it?
Yeah, yeah. That they built, to my understanding, Westinghouse built the motor, as I understand it, but the small electrical components, he and his nephew, to my understanding, built it in their hotel room, which is
Really?
because he was broke at that point. I mean, at that point, Westinghouse was completely supporting him. Yeah, he didn't have any studio to work in Buffalo, to my understanding. I don't know where the car was actually. I guess maybe in a Westinghouse facility. He didn't have a lab in Buffalo, to my understanding, unless I wonder if Mr. Pierce gave him space.
It's weird. He could have had something over in Canada. You know, I mean, when
On the
the
other side of
borders
the
open,
falls.
you can be in Canada in no time around here. You
Yeah.
know, when the borders open.
So anyway, and I just want to say actually that it was Andrew's prompting that, I mean, I knew about this car, but I'd never really thought about it because I don't, well, my personal feeling about Tesla is yes, he was a genius. I don't take that away from him. But I think that he's a reverse engineer. I think that he was part of the reset. I think that all those boys were looking for people who could reverse engineer the things that they were finding. And I think that that's who Tesla was. That is not to say that he didn't create some of the things he did. I'm not saying that. Just like saying Frank Lloyd Wright was a brilliant architect, but he is not responsible for all the things that he is accredited with building, like the Larkin Building. He was part of the reset, just like, well, Louis Sullivan, his mentor, and all kinds of people. So anyway, so this tells its story. It was hearing Andrew talking the other night when he and I were just chatting about something about the culture of Tesla driving his Pierce Arrow around Buffalo, something about that. And that just really put into my head, this would make a good quick video. And so it's all because of you, darling, that I made this one.
Oh, thank you.
So
Excuse me.
let's go ahead and keep scooting here.
Well, I heard that he had other connections with like other big industrialists where he was going to bring us UFO technology for our airliner system.
Yeah, well, I read stuff about that too. It didn't make it into here, but I was just kind of leading toward the car and Westinghouse. But yeah, I've read about that. Definitely. All that stuff's out there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true or not, but
Like the
apparently
whole
him,
death ray, his whole death ray.
yes, the
That's
death
not
rate
UFO. I don't know what is.
that is in the FBI vault. So that's a real thing, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When I was doing the research for this little one, I read that um I can't the word starts with a T, but there was an event that seemed like a nuclear event that happened somewhere in Russia. It was USSR at the time. Um where there was like a whole stretch of forest that was taken out, and that was actually who I was reading attributed that to one of his experiments.
Yeah, Tunguska.
Tunguska, yeah, and he did, and that's when he said, "I we can't use this."
Yeah, that's probably a true story. I mean,
I believe
there's
it.
there's so much behind it, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
Right, right.
And there's so many other things. Like he had that earthquake machine.
Yeah,
It's like what?
harp. It's harp.
Yeah. And that's probably where they learned to control the weather and all that.
So anyway, not a straight military scholarship because he wasn't military, but it was affiliated with a military scholarship that got him to a polytech college. And so he did that and gambled all his tuition money away after the first year.
Ha ha ha.
I didn't know that. Apparently he was quite a gambler. But whatever, who knows what's true, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in 1881, he was in Budapest and he was working for a telegraph company. Okay. All right.
Gambling. Likely story. I don't know about that.
I don't know. Who knows what's true?
I know.
Who knows what's true? Makes a good story. So working for a telegraph company. Okay. So he started his mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, even though he never got to graduate. Okay. All right.
That is a crazy story.
All right. So then, now this is a funny story. So he was in New York City in 1884 with 4 cents in his pocket and a letter of recommendation from his Budapest employer for an interview with Edison.
Wow. He got all the way to New York and had only 4 cents left.
Yeah. But that was, well, in 1884, what, I mean, that might have been like $50. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it might have been a lot of money back then.
Not a lot of money, but not useless. Things were a penny then.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Again, it's all these stories are so melodramatic.
I know it'd be so interesting to actually talk with someone like that and hear some of this stuff firsthand. You know,
So,
there are people, there are people that claim to channel him, but I don't know about that.
mm. So there's a whole story, and most people are probably fairly familiar with the story of Tesla and Edison, like most people are reasonably familiar with the story of J.P. Morgan and Edison. There's a lot of versions of the story. Um, Basically, Edison screwed Tesla over. That could be true or not. The stories basically all agree on theme. The details differ. But apparently he walked away from Edison, just walked away and was digging dishes.
Yeah, and Edison owed him money, didn't he?
Huh?
Edison screwed him out of money, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Well, $10,000 at the time. That's like millions.
Yeah.
$10,000 at the time is like millions.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, so he was working, digging ditches, and I didn't really get into his donors. I mean, he's had donors all along. Very charismatic gentleman, obviously. And he posted his first patent, okay, for his induction motor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was the War of the Currents. The War of the Currents was going on.
I found something strange in my old house. I had a house in Lackawanna, and up in the attic, I refinished the attic into an apartment, and not an apartment, but just like a living room. And when I started the job, the first thing I had to take down was this big, thick copper wire, bare wire that had been hanging there forever since the house was built. I think it was some kind of radio antenna
It sounds like it.
or TV antenna, but I'm not sure what that is. I've always wondered what the heck was that wire.
Well,
It
you're an
ran,
electrician, so you would know more than I would.
it had to be an antenna because it ran the whole length of the attic, so it was almost as long as the house. So, and it was screwed
Hmm.
into the brick of the chimney, which went all the way into the ground under the house.
So you think it was an antenna, not a battery of some sort?
I have no idea, but the house also had a
Copper wire
yes,
growing into the ground sounds like a battery to me.
the house also came with gas lighting, which was non-functional. So,
Oh.
I doubt if it was some kind of weird electrical system, but it's just so strange that that wire was there. And the house has had two different dates of construction, one from 1900 and one from 1910. I had
Mm,
paperwork on both,
mm,
which is
interesting.
weird. And I got to see the sewers back there once behind the house because I where I lived was the only neighborhood that had an alley, and the alley had a sewer under it. And I had a sewer problem once, and a guy came to fix my problem, and he opened the sewer out back, and I got to look down there. I
Mm.
swear to God, it was 20 feet deep, Joyce. I had never seen nothing that big underground in my life.
Well, I've thought of doing one of my weird videos about Lackawanna because there's an awful lot of history there too, isn't there? There's
Yes,
some freaky, spooky stuff there, to my
yes.
understanding. Lackawanna is a weird place. I keep thinking about it.
It was used to be known as Limestone Hill.
Oh, now see, just you telling me that makes me want to do one, but I've got a whole
Yep.
list of things I'm supposed to do.
Limestone Hill, and they built that big church right on the most important part of it.
Right on
And
top of
there's
the aquifer, probably.
and there's a strange story around that church that Father Baker, they had no money and he wanted to build this hospital and heat it and stuff, and he didn't have no way to heat it. So he did some kind of praying or something, and then he found a gas well that produces so much gas
Oh, God.
it heats the church and all of the buildings for free.
Reset, reset,
And they sell
reset,
gas to the gas company.
reset. This is the, see, yeah, okay, whatever. So anyway, so Tesla had two patents. He had his AC induction motor and his Tesla coil. And he's still bumming around New York City trying to get squared away. And through the movers and shakers, because he's very charismatic, and I guess he had the right credentials, and he was a smart boy. He'd accomplish things. And so lifelong, well, not lifelong friend, but lifelong American friend were especially John Jacob. There were two Astors. The two Astor brothers are the founders of the Waldorf Astoria. There was the Waldorf, and then there was the Astoria, and it was both the Astor brothers, and they were both trying to outdo each other. And then at one point, they combined both the hotels. And of course, we know that Tesla lived there for a while. But anyway, so um, when he was running his game in New York City, hanging out at all the clubs, the gentlemen's clubs and Delmonico's and all that stuff. He was able to talk Astor into $100,000 at the time, which is $3,500,000 today,
Wow.
to basically create the things he created at the Colorado Springs lab. So Astor was the primary shareholder of all those patents that came out of the Colorado Springs lab. Think
Wow.
about that. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
He
Didn't
did a
he
lot of
die
things like that.
on the Titanic?
I can't remember who died on
I
the
think
Titanic
Esther was
off
one
the
of
top of
them.
my head.
Wow, look at that photo.
So all these photos that we really think of as Tesla, those were all from Colorado.
Yeah, and people say free energy don't exist. Well, it's right here in this photograph, you bonus.
Actually, you can do that. You can get a light bulb and you can walk out in bare feet, especially if it's been a rainy day, and with bare feet and get your feet all in the ground, and you can light up a light bulb. Anybody can do that, actually. So anyway, so yeah, just saying that Astor was the main shareholder in all of this, and what I came to learn is, he really didn't have patent. He signed all his patent rights away throughout his career, in many cases because he had to. I mean, give up your patent or eat. In many cases, it seems that that was the case.
Yeah, the deep state screws everybody. They do it to musicians too.
And so this one, this very famous one, of course, this is from Colorado Springs as well. So we've got him doing work in Colorado Springs and in New York. Now, this is the gentleman who was responsible for him coming back to New York. So he spent the time that he did in Colorado Springs. It was Robert Underwood Johnson, who was an ambassador to Italy and was the associate editor of Century magazine in 1900. And he was one of Tesla's New York connections. And he had asked Johnson if he could have some print space in Century magazine, which was considered notable at the time, to publish some of his findings and discoveries. Johnson agreed, and that's what got Tesla back to New York with, right?
Mm-hmm.
His reputation could precede him, essentially, and that's Johnson right there, the editor for the Century magazine, and the reason that he came back. And Tesla moved into the Waldorf Astoria since he was good friends with the Astors. And of course, I haven't been to the Waldorf since I lived there, but it still looked like it. That's what it looked like when I lived there.
Wow.
Have you been? When's the last time you were in the Waldorf?
I was in New York City before I was 5 years old, and I walked
Oh,
through the parking meter.
the clock is still there. I mean, the clock was still there when I was there.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, definitively. Yeah, it still looked like that when I lived. See, but this is a fairly modern photo. See these guys over here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a fairly modern. Yeah, that still looks there. Flowers, they put up flowers everywhere, but yeah. Yeah, I've had many cocktails at that bar right there. So, okay, so we moved into the Waldorf Astoria, which was owned by the Astors.
Did you feel the spirit around?
I wasn't paying attention. Who just happened, and the Waldorf was managed by this geek, George Bolt, who anyone in New York knows about Bolt Castle, right? He was
Yep.
the manager of the Waldorf Astoria. He was also the manager of, I can't remember the name of it, but a big hotel in Philadelphia as well. Another interesting reset guy,
Mm-hmm.
who is responsible. Well, of course, he didn't build it, just like the Astors didn't build the Waldorf Astoria. It was there. He did not build Bolt Castle. It was there. What he did is he claimed it. He bought the island, Hart Island, and he claimed it, and he made it snazzy, but he certainly didn't build it. But we will hear a little bit more about George Bolt in this story. But I did a video about that, about Bolt Castle, because when I took my riverboat cruise when I lived in New York, I took a boat up the Erie Canal, up the Hudson through the Erie Canal and up across Lake Ontario to Montreal and Quebec.
Wow.
And stopped here. We stopped at Bolt Castle. So I've been here, up in the Thousand Islands. So yeah, you're supposed to believe that this was built in 2 years. Yeah, right.
The thing is, people have to know how to build these and put these stones together a certain way.
Yeah,
And that knowledge, nobody knows how to do that these days.
right. And all this stone was supposed to come, well, stone came from all over the world, they say, but they're saying that all of the most of the stone came from, is there an island called Oak something out there in the Thousand Islands? Do you remember?
No, there's an Oak Island off Canada, but it's not in the St. Lawrence.
Okay, I can't remember now. There's a quarry island that actually has a very interesting story in and of itself, haunted. Um, that I was going to do a story, I was going to do a video about, but there's just so many things. I start to take notes on things and then I'm like, squirrel, and then I get distracted. But anyway, this was the video that I did about Mr. Bolt's castle, and a very interesting story. Um, yeah, it was a Valentine's gift and for his wife, and that's all I'm going to say.
Valentine's gift.
Talking about. Don't give it away. Andrew knows what I'm talking about, but we'll talk about Mr. Bolt later. He factors very highly into this. Okay, so this is one of Tesla's, I guess that's his AC induction engine. So he was staying at the Waldorf and he's working the clubs, right? Because he's trying to get these money guys, right? So he's in with all the robber barons at Delmonico, the Players Club, the very, very, very notorious Union Club, which I came to learn was basically the PEDOPHIE club. That was the club for that. If you belonged to the Union Club, then you probably were a PEDOPHILE.
Disgusting.
Yeah, more than any other. Yeah, very notorious. And it was, I guess, there were, you know, like dungeons for BDSM and stuff in it, which no big deal, right? I mean, if that's what you think, that's fine. But the thought that they were dragging kids around and doing it with kids is not cool. Anyway, so he's living at the Waldorf, which if you haven't been to the Waldorf, I mean, that was the place to be then, right? There was nothing that topped the Waldorf then, right, Andrew?
Right. No, I don't think there's anything bigger than a Waldorf.
Or just more luxurious. I mean,
Yeah.
the plaza and things like that, but nothing topped the Waldorf. There was no Four Seasons or anything like that now. Nothing topped the Waldorf. And still, the Waldorf is just a stunning place.
Yeah. There's no Trump Tower.
But anyway, so he met all these guys, all these guys that had the money, which is what he needed to do what he wanted to do.
Well, he did tell them, you know, that you have today, but the future belongs to me. He told all those fat cats that they were going down.
Say that again.
He told them all that you might own today, but the future belongs to me. He told them they were all going down in the future. He must have known that technology would someday surpass their evil, which is what's happening right now.
Well, especially this guy, right?
Yeah.
And yes, this guy from Monopoly is based on JP Morgan. So, and this is what most people know. JP Morgan agreed to invest what would be $4 million today in his wireless communication program, which became Wardenclyffe Tower. So that was JP Morgan. And we know what JP Morgan said. We'll come back to that. And oh my goodness, this guy. I did like a 2-hour video about this guy. This guy is a pig. He is a pig. He was part of what was at the time the leading architectural firm in New York City, McKim, Mead, and White. He was the White of McKim, Mead, and White. So these are the people that supposedly built Penn Station. I can't even, it's so ridiculous. I can't even remember. And this chump right here is supposed to be the guy who built the arch at Washington Square. Give me a freaking break. They're all reset bums, every single one of them. But this guy was a pig. I mean, look at him. Look at his eyes.
Yeah, look at that mustache. I could never grow something like that.
I think that was the time. He was such a dandy, you see? You know, he's got pins and things. He's such a dandy.
Yeah, they used wax in their mustaches and stuff. I couldn't stand something like that.
He was a pig.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was like the Frank Lloyd Wright or the Louis Sullivan or the Henry Hobson of New York at the time, of New York as an architect at the time. He was the guy. If you wanted something done in New York City, you contacted McKim, Mead, and White, or you contacted this pig right here. he was gross. And so through Tesla, I don't know if Tesla made the decision or who made the decision, but let's just say that Stanford White was a very important member of the Union Club. And I told you what the Union Club was known for.
Mm.
He was hired to do some building for Tesla. This is the video that I did about Stanford White. Where it says about Stanford White, I just added that. If you look at my videos, Reset Architect and Child Groomer, that's the name of the video. That is 2 hours about Stanford White and this young woman, but not just about this young woman, but what became the trial of the century involved Stanford White and this young woman who was barely old enough to have a period at the time. Okay, we'll just leave that there. Yeah, he was hired to do some building. And so Tesla, thanks to JP Morgan's funding, was able to purchase 200 acres in Shoreham, New York, and Stanford White is attributed with building all of this. Now, do I think that Stanford White built all of this? No. Do I think that Stanford White built the Tesla Tower, Wardenclyffe Tower? Yes. Do I think that Stanford White built the lab? No. Why? Look at it. Look at the windows.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Look at this really interesting chimney with something on top. Stanford White never built anything industrial like that. This was the lab, you know, this was the power source. Sure, he could have designed with, he was an architect. I mean, I'm not saying that he wasn't, you know, he supposedly went to the École des Beaux-Arts. I mean, I don't doubt that he was not an architect and that he wasn't capable of building things. And he certainly could have built Wardenclyffe Tower with Tesla's design, but I don't think he built this, just like I don't think that he built Penn Station or the New York City Library or the Washington Square Arch, all these things that are attributed to him. Gotta be kidding me. Anyway, so Stanford White is attributed with building
Those things on the roof are interesting.
Of the shop, yeah.
I wonder what those things are on the roof.
Well, they almost look like they could be skylights.
Yeah, they gotta be skylights, but it's weird. I've never seen a building like that.
Well, so what I'm saying, Andrew, is I don't think that this 200 acres in Shoreham, New York, Long Island, was just randomly selected. I think whatever was here in this building had something to do with why he picked this spot.
Yeah, that's pretty substantial building for a little project.
Yeah. Did Stanford White have anything to do with the modernization of this building that was no doubt all found Tartarian Moorish technology? Absolutely, but it was here. I believe that it was here. I do not think, did Stanford White build this? Yes, I think he did. You know, and there's an aquifer under here, so that's part of it. But this was here because the building was already here because there's an aquifer under there. And this was already here, and this was part of the technology that was left over. That's what I think.
How close is that to Montauk?
Why? Well, you might know in your head. I don't know.
I don't know.
You want
I
to
don't
look
know
it
much
up?
about Long
Let me
Island.
look it up. Shoreham too. So he was at the lab from 1902 to 1905. I'm going to look that up on my phone really quick. How close is Shoreham to Montauk?
Because I hear there's an ancient pyramid under Montauk, and they're hiding it.
I believe that. I totally believe that.
That's why it was stationed there, and being a lookout was a cover, because Washington chose the area. George Washington chose Montauk. That's how long it's been in the government.
58 miles. It's an hour and a half.
Oh, it's not that far then.
So, you know, Montauk's out on, is that, Shoreham is on the north side of Long Island on the water. And then Montauk, of course, is out on the, so what's that body of water there?
It's in Narragansett Bay. That's where JFK Jr. disappeared.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so Tesla was used the lab from '02 to '05, living at the Waldorf. Though I think actually that the photo that I used was one of the photos from Colorado Springs. I just chose that photo for this screen. So '02 to '05, okay? And then a whole bunch of shit started going on. JP Morgan pulled his money. And there's the famous saying of JP Morgan, saying, okay, well, so we got this thing. So what's the deal? What's the deal? And Tesla saying, well, because he presented it a certain way. He presented why you should invest in this because it will make business so much more effective to have all this instant communication, this wireless communication, right? And
Yeah,
then when it came down to it, it was like, no, it's free energy for the world. And that's when JP Morgan is attributed with saying, if I can't put a meter on it, I'm not going to fund it.
right.
So he pulled his money. And that started a whole, I didn't realize, and maybe you didn't either, Andrew, that there was a whole, but it was like a snowball effect that happened. It wasn't just that JP Morgan pulled his money. And I did not by any means touch on everything that's involved here. I just touched on the highlights. But that was a big one. Morgan pulled his money.
Don't you love how they try to make these characters good by turning them into like cartoon characters and stuff?
And then this happened.
Oh yeah.
Stanford White, the pig, the architect attributed with building Wardenclyffe Tower and Wardenclyffe Lab, was assassinated in the rooftop theater of the old Madison Square Garden by the husband of the young woman in the YouTube thumbnail that I showed you, who he had, we won't say what he did. Anyway, that became the trial of the century. And Stanford White, though he was a pig, was a very good resource for Tesla into things, shall we say. So Morgan pulled his money. Stanford White got shot literally in the face at point blank range. So that ended the connection that he had to other sources of money. That's okay, boom, boom.
So it says he shot him in the back though.
Shot him in the face. He came, well, whatever. He shot him at point blank range. What
Well, I
are
guess
you
they
reading?
didn't.
Are you reading up on it?
No, it said it in the meme. I guess they
Oh,
didn't want people to know.
so his first AC patent expired that year, and he didn't have the money to renew it because he was broke already. And then his longtime investor, William Rankine, passed away the same year. So boom, 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 boom. And then the man that he had hired to be supervisor of Wardenclyffe Tower wasn't getting paid, so he had to leave to find regular work. Well, this is interesting. Who was his supervisor? Who was his supervisor at Wardenclyffe Tower? Don't give it away, Andrew. Don't give it away. I know you know. It was this guy, George Sheriff.
Yep, Prescott.
Curious George. He looks familiar, doesn't he? Doesn't he look familiar?
Well,
Yeah.
wait a minute. H.W. Bush is Curious George. This is Prescott Bush. Yeah, that's Curious George. They actually turn them into cartoon characters, like I was saying, to make us love them, but they're not lovable at all. Surprise. They're animals. I heard that this guy actually turned into a wolf during ceremonies.
Mm. So just a quick review. So Morgan pulled his money, big drop, right? Stanford White was assassinated. So I don't think Stanford White was giving him any money, but Stanford White knew everybody. And being the kind of guy he was, he probably had dirt on everybody too, because he was dirty as they came.
Mm-hmm.
And he was messing around with anything pretty, even though he was married and had kids. His other longtime silent partner, Ron Keene, died. His first patent expired. And then Prescott quit. So, boom, all in 1 year.
Yep. And you know, another big reason they wanted to control electricity, I don't know if people realize this or not, but they were actually putting bad mind control on top of the electricity they're sending out to our homes. They used Tesla's AC system to mind control us. As soon as they started giving us electricity, they used it against us.
Are you talking about back then?
Yeah, as soon as they gave us electricity, it was used for mind control. They put a signal on it
Mm.
and it keeps us in lower vibrations. You know what I mean? That's
Oh,
why they
yeah.
chose 60 cycles.
Well,
They
that's
chose
true. You
that.
can feel it if you like it. Even if you turn off your router at night, if you turn off your modem in your router, you'll feel different when you wake up in the morning. I know that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So he was broke. He was in debt. All his resources had walked away. Well, not all of them. He had still befriended Westinghouse, and he and Westinghouse went way back. I didn't get into that in this one, but he and Westinghouse went way back to the Battle of the Currents, when and you'll probably remember the name, but the company that basically owned the power plant at Niagara Falls at the time, or they were looking to build the power plant at Niagara Falls at the time, and they were looking for a contract to actually build the transformers and the generators. And then there was another contract for what would deliver that out from the generator. So whatever you call that, there was the actual capacitors and generators and all of that, and then there was the delivery system. So Westinghouse and Tesla, Westinghouse presented a plan to whatever it was called, the Niagara Falls Power, whatever, I'm sure you know. And Westinghouse presented the plans, but apparently most of it was Tesla's work.
Mm-hmm.
And because Westinghouse had always, well, Tesla worked for Westinghouse early on, and Tesla speaks of Westinghouse as the only guy that never took advantage of him or screwed him over or stole his work. And so when this happened, part of the contract that came with Westinghouse being awarded the deal from the Niagara Falls Power Company was that Tesla had this massive royalties plan that would have required that Westinghouse paid him all these royalties. Well, the story goes that at the time, Westinghouse, the company, was teetering. And the story goes that George Westinghouse asked Tesla if he would default for a few years on his royalty expectations until Westinghouse could get the company back up. And the story goes that Tesla just tore up the contract completely and said, nope, don't worry about it. You've been good to me. So the relationship, and then of course they got it. They got it. And Edison, General Electric, got the contract for the delivery system. So the conversion of the water into power, Westinghouse and Tesla did that. But the traveling of the power from the systems at the falls to the homes, that was GE, that was Edison. They both got the contract at the same time. And of course, again, I don't go into that in this story. And that happened before we got to even this point that happened before the turn of the century. Shortly after the awarding of the two contracts, Westinghouse receiving one and Edison receiving the other, is when Tesla's New York lab burned within the same year, within months of the awarding of the contracts. Suspicious. So anyway, so he was in debt, and all he had was his Wardenclyffe properties, the 200 acres, the tower, and the lab. So he took out two mortgages. He had already been kicked out of the Waldorf Astoria because he owed back rent, $480,000 in today's money. That's a lot of money.
Wow. You know, my Russian grandparents came from Russia and they first lived in Canada. And when they were living in Canada, my Russian grandma had a brother who was working on the Welland Canal and he got electrocuted on the job. And it must have been Tesla that did it to him because he ran the lines around the area.
Oh.
So he was trying to move some wires out of the way. He was running a team of horses and he went to pick up a wire he didn't know was electrified and it killed him. Then they moved to America right after that.
Oh, wow. So here, the Waldorf Astoria at the time bragged that Tesla lived there. 15 years. So after he got thrown out of the Waldorf Astoria, it seems that he moved from hotel to hotel, and there's a whole list of them, but I didn't list them all. And every couple of years he had to move because he just didn't pay rent. Well, he didn't have the money at this point. And in the end, it was Westinghouse who moved him into the New Yorker. And of course, we know that's where he died. And Westinghouse paid his room and board from 1934 till he died, till his death in 1943. So gave him, I think it was $150 a month, which that was a lot of money back then. Yeah. Plus he paid his rent at the New Yorker. And here I get into Tesla had torn up the royalty contracts while in collaboration with Westinghouse. Specifically, that was specifically for the Niagara Falls company. And of course, if he had kept those contracts, then Tesla would have been a wealthy man. But it made Westinghouse the wealthy man. But anyway, so for those of you that don't know, this is the Waldorf, and that's inside of the Waldorf. So yeah, he was on the run after that, moving from hotel to hotel, getting thrown out of hotel to hotel to hotel to hotel.
No, there's people that say he's still alive.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
They say he used his time machine to escape the deep state.
Well, there was so much, and there, of course, there's the New Yorker. Could be,
And some say this is a Tesla Tower, the New Yorker. It's a funny shaped building.
So this is George Westinghouse. Another reset guy. Another guy that was messing around with AC current, fighting with Edison.
Yeah, the world would have been so different. Not only would we not have electric bills, we would totally be free of the deep state too. That's the real reason they nixed his plan, Can't have the slaves too free down there.
Well, I know you can talk about you told one little story about you grew up with Niagara Falls in your backyard.
Yes, I did. And I always wondered, what did it look like before all those buildings went up? And I got the answer out of the garbage. Yeah. So if you have a thought or you say something, it may take the universe 20 or 30 or 40 years to make it come, to make it happen.
All right, I'm just waiting for this to advance. Okay, so so George Bolt, there's that name again. The guy who was the manager of the Waldorf Astoria, the guy who supposedly built Bolt Castle. As I said, Tesla had taken out 2 mortgages on what was left, the only thing he owned, which was his property at Wardenclyffe. And he defaulted. So George Bolt foreclosed on the Wardenclyffe property in 1915, and he tore down the tower in 1917. And this is the old lab that Stanford White was supposed to have built. Well, if it's Tartaria 101, look at that.
Yeah, it is.
Windows,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
There's something to that old architecture because you know that old book I was telling
Heck,
you about. That old book I was telling you about, the historical collection of the state of New York.
yeah,
All of these little villages had similar building. I mean, it's crazy.
right.
The whole state. How did that happen so quickly?
So here's Edison with his electric car. And now I know because Edison lived here too, in Florida. He was down on the southwestern side. And he and Henry Ford were driving around in electric cars here. So I don't know if this was by the jackets and everything. I'm thinking that that's up in New York, because you wouldn't be dressed like that in Florida any time of the year.
No.
So anyway, so we know Edison had electric cars. Henry Ford was building them. All these reset guys knew each other. Harvey Goodrich too, It's all a plan. It's all a plan.
Mm-hmm. Those cars are so interesting.
The upholstery in
They
that
were
thing,
mostly wood.
gorgeous. So Tesla sent for his young nephew, who was also kind of mechanically inclined, Peter Saville from Yugoslavia, to join him in Buffalo. And once again, Westinghouse stepped up to help him in more ways than one. Good old George. These mustaches and what do you call them? Mutton chop.
Yep, mutton chop.
And there it is.
That's the Pierce Arrow that he put free energy in.
Well, I don't know if that's the one, but it looks like the one.
Hmm. Yeah, it would be hard to tell, but it does say Pierce Arrow right on the front of it.
Well, yeah, it's a Pierce Arrow.
Yeah.
And apparently it was red, and you can attest that because you've got something that you're going to share here in a minute. Let me see. I don't remember what the next slide is. I think the next slide talks about okay, so Tesla and his nephew were staying in a hotel in Buffalo that Westinghouse paid for, and they started drawing up plans and farting around with tubes and antennas and all kinds of things.
I wonder where they stayed in Buffalo. It must have been the Statler.
I don't know. So here we go. So George Pierce started his luxury car company in 1900 in Buffalo, New York, where it set the standard until 1938. Well, a lot of things tanked in the 30s, obviously. And as I recall, the Arrow part came from, there was one particular car that they called an Arrow that became very popular. Is that right?
I'm not sure. There probably was.
Like say, it's like the Pierce Arrow is like saying Ford Mustang.
Well, they made motorcycles too. A lot of people don't know it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
bicycles. Didn't they make bicycles as well?
Yeah. And there was a record broken here in Daytona on a Pierce Arrow motorcycle by, I don't remember his name. You know his name.
Glenn Curtis.
Glenn Curtis. That's right. Yep. He broke a record.
Yep. He was the aviator of Glenn Curtis, the Jenny, the Curtis, the plane from World War One.
So there's Tesla near the end of his life. So George Westinghouse built the electric AC engine for the Pierce Arrow to the specs that Tesla and Savo designed.
It's funny, he had his favorite pets were birds, right?
At the end, yeah.
Yeah, I had a hawk look at me today while I was looking
That
at it through
story is
binoculars.
amazing. That's an amazing, amazing
I could not
story.
believe it. I was looking at it through binoculars and it was sitting there gazing over the field and it had to turn around. It had to turn its head all the way around to look at me and it turned around and looked at me for a few seconds. This is the old placement of the statue. They've moved it since this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's in a different place now.
Oh,
It's in like a grotto or something. It's much closer to the falls now, Joyce. Much closer. It's like
interesting.
it's right next to the falls, in fact, on the edge of the falls. It's near Bridal Veil. This is where
Oh, okay, okay.
they put it next to Bridal Veil.
Interesting.
But this here photo right here is where it used to be at the old entrance to Niagara Falls.
Yeah, which is he's right. That's a Tartarian construction he's right in front of that they've twerked.
Oh man, all that stuff is old at the fall.
Yeah, both sides. I've spent more time on the Canadian side actually than the American side. But here's some specs on the car. I'm not a car person at all. So I'm writing stuff down, but I don't know what any of it means. 60 kilowatt motor. There were 12 vacuum tubes that made the engine so unique. Shortwave radio receiver that Savo built that fit in the glove box, set to 240 volts with a 6-foot antenna, 12-volt storage battery, 80 horsepower engine. The engine that Westinghouse built was 3 feet long, 2 feet wide, 6 inches in depth, and it was round.
Mm-hmm.
That's the specs on the engine.
Well, it must have been quite the setup because they got it up to 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, and he drove 50 miles out of town. That's a lot of faith, you know? He drove 50 miles out of town. And back then, what was it? If you got out of town, there wasn't much.
There weren't any decent
right?
roads in the 30s either. We didn't get modern roads till the 50s.
So there we go, 50 miles, topping at 90 miles an hour. And there were some interesting stories that I was reading where when he was driving around Buffalo, the car made no sound. And so people would be crossing the street or walking, by, and the pedestrians were just astonished because the car was absolutely silent.
Mm.
Had no, exhaust. It was steam. Kind of like being at a stoplight next to a Tesla now or any electrical vehicle.
Yeah, steam cars were quite too because they could run off an alcohol boiler.
I didn't put this picture together, but maybe not. I don't know. I just like
Yeah,
that picture.
that car's a little older than the 30s. That red car you showed was a 30s style car. Yeah, did you notice how open it was? The earlier cars were all open like that. And then in the 30s they closed them up because it wasn't pleasant to drive around an open car.
Yeah, that's true. So it was the power from the etherized water at Niagara Falls that made the car work.
Mm-hmm.
And this is on the Tesla Universe page. There's also, I find very interesting, George Bolt, the guy that threw Tesla out of the Waldorf Astoria and foreclosed on Wardenclyffe Tower. Yeah. So yeah, Andrew and I were talking about this. What happened to the car? There doesn't seem to be a lot written about it. What happened to the car?
No, and the powers that be deny it exists.
Yes, yes. If you look it up, you're going to see that it's all a hoax. And yeah. It would stand to reason that it ended up with Westinghouse. I think it ended up with Westinghouse or Pierce, with George Westinghouse or George Pierce, right?
Yeah.
Most likely Westinghouse, because Westinghouse, to my understanding, put all the money into it. But I don't know. And there's another picture of the Waldorf Astoria, which is just a ridiculously glorious, fantastic, ridiculous building.
Yeah. I bet they took everything out of there that Tesla put in it and scrapped it or turned it back into what it was. One of the two.
Could be. But I mean, the engine remained the property of Westinghouse, you
Yeah,
know.
they weren't going to leave it sitting around for us
He
to
didn't
find.
he
That's for
didn't
damn sure.
patent it. So that was even though it was his design, it was George Westinghouse's construction. So now this is where, you might piss people off, I think the guy was a high functioning Asperger's guy, especially since at the end of his life he just completely seems to have completely reverted into OCD. Stories of having to walk around things several times before he would sit down or open a door, or having to have so many napkins on the table, or
Mhm.
all right, this is where you have some stories, I think, right?
Well,
His
they say he's not even from the Earth. He came and got dropped off by a UFO, but I don't know if any of that's true or not. He certainly is different than most people. You know what I mean? I mean, he
Yeah,
didn't get married and have kids, all that kind of
right.
stuff, which is strange in itself. You know, he also, let me think. It's hard to talk about when you're talking about somebody like him, but
Yeah.
I think he had some higher knowledge. I really do. Now, where it came from, I don't know. I don't know if he was just regurgitating something a little at a time that they were trying to hide, or if he was just in tune with the universe and got it all downloaded to him. You know what I mean? Or
Well,
he said he was in contact with aliens as well.
oh, I can believe that.
But he was in contact with the alien, some kind of alien signal, and I heard that it was the Black Knight satellite, which has been around Earth for over 10,000 years.
Talk more about that.
It's I was watching Paul Wallace, and he talks the best about it. There's a YouTube called The Fifth Kind. It's the 5th kind, and it's really easy to find, and it's just loaded with good information. And I was watching him talk about it, and he said that it was Yahweh's eye, and Yahweh is the vengeful God of the Bible. And
Yeah.
so the Black Knight satellite's been floating around up there for 10,000 years, and we didn't find it till the 50s. So
Mm.
this is something Tesla was in contact with. So who knows what he learned from
Mm.
that thing? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It could have downloaded some really cool stuff to him since he had the technology to talk to it. It might have said, "Oh, here's an Earthling that knows something. Let me give him this knowledge." Who knows what Tesla got out of that? Because he was running radio controlled boats around New York City in the 1890s or something like that, and people were just amazed to see him steer a boat without even being inside of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So who
Yeah.
knows what he got out of that whole Black Knight satellite thing? It's a mystery. I would like to know, but I don't know. But I really recommend that Fifth Kind. I've been binge watching it. I'm still watching it, man.
Mhm.
Definitely a mysterious guy, though. I'd like more into the Pure Sail Company. They built
Yeah, he
four-cylinder
was part of the
motorcycles
research
too.
program, like Birdsall
Mm-hmm.
Holly. The image after this might be the Birdsall Holly, the YouTube thumbnail to the Birdsall Holly video. Yes, which was the guy attributed with building um, the Lockport Caves. Bull crap.
Mm-hmm.
Bull crap.
Yeah.
And yeah, in case you didn't know, it was supposed to be homeless kids that did all the blasting for that cave. So yeah, so 3 years after the car, he was dead. And that was that. They tossed his room.
Yeah. And
He was
Trump's
broke.
uncle ended up with all these notes.
He was broke. He bid broke.
They
Yeah, see,
used that.
he was a tall gentleman. He was over 6 feet tall, which was unusual for the time.
Mm-hmm. They used that whole thing about Trump getting his papers, Trump's uncle getting his papers. They used that against Trump when he was running for president. They tried to say it was a bad thing.
Mm. This, by the way, is a photo of his New York lab that mysteriously burned. Everything was destroyed after he and Westinghouse were awarded the contract for Niagara Falls. I don't,
Hmm.
Edison was very happy, but that's what this picture of. It's his New York lab. Hmm.
Wow.
You think Edison
Wow.
had anything to do with that?
Hmm.
Hmm.
All that stuff is gone, huh?
Uh, well, I mean, anything that could have been burned.
You know,
Um,
that's the question is, was he an organically good person or was he a controlled opposition asset of deep state? That is the question.
right. Or did things switch at some point, which you have to ask about all these people. I mean, there are people like Stanford White who were just filth and disgusting from the beginning and loved the corruption that was afforded them. Um, I think in Tesla was a good man. And a lot of that I attribute to, he, what little money he had. Apparently, George Westinghouse talks about he spent most of his money on the pigeons. He fed the pigeons. He had built like what you might call med beds for
Hmm.
injured pigeons, and that's what most of his money went to at the end of
Wow.
his life.
I have a couple of inventors that come on my show, the Venice inventors. They really like Tesla.
So I'm going to stop the share. That was my video, and I know Andrew has something that he wants to share and talk about.
Okay, here it is. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Sorry, guys. Here it is. This is this page called waterpoweredcar.com. Tesla's 1930 Pierce Arrow electric automobile. So apparently it was red.
Yeah.
Um, and this is all about it. I'll put a link. I'll leave a link for Joyce to put in the show notes. Excuse me, but I'm getting a throat bug all of a sudden. I hate when that happens. It's like a sinus attack or something.
Yeah, and I referenced this page too when I was doing my research just for this quick little thing. Of course, you read a lot more than you end up writing in a little 10-minute video. But yeah, this is a very good resource for that whole issue.
Yes, and I took it up with the owner of the Pierce Arrow Museum in Buffalo, New York, Jim Sandoro. I said, Jim, Tesla was driving his car around. I sent him this link. And he said, no, 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 that's all a rumor. Tesla did not drive an electric car around Buffalo.
Well, he has to say that. He's Pierce Arrow. He has to say that. He has to say that. And
Yep.
anyone at Westinghouse would too. They have
Yep.
to say that.
And the same person in 2016 ran a fundraiser for HRC. So I knew what he was going to say, but I just wanted to, throw that dart out there.
Well, he had to. He had to. He had to.
But there's all kinds of links here, guys.
Yeah, this is a really good website. Anybody, yeah, I definitely spent some time on this. And of course I just tried to put everything together and make it kind of a quick Cliff Notes. Um, the car was kept on a farm. The car was kept on a farm 20 miles outside of Buffalo.
Well, we could read it if you want. Nikola Tesla had an electric Pierce Arrow back in 1930. My mother was born in 1930. Strange coincidence. The ICE engine was replaced with an electric motor. The power source was a black box of radio tubes in the glove compartment.
That Sabo
He,
built.
See, if they would have been able to give us this, we would have the George Jetson life right now, and we wouldn't have none of these problems we have. You know, people just don't realize what was taken from us. And I have a hard time telling them we would have had everything. They don't get it.
Don't read the whole thing.
No, I'm not going to read it all.
Sure.
I'll let people look into it.
But right before we did the video, we were talking about that, about the Tuscusa, and that's touched on in here. If you scroll down.
Oh yeah, Tunguska.
Yeah.
It blew up. It's right here.
Tunguska. Yeah.
Tunguska, Siberia, Russia. And you know, from my research, I follow the Russian government. They are building that area up now. They're spending, yeah, they're spending billions of rubles to build up Siberia. They're seriously building the area up.
That's kind of icky. But so anybody out there who is smarter than me in this kind of electronic stuff, and you don't have to be much smarter to be smarter than me about this stuff, but if you're interested in more details than I offered, not only is there a detail here in the text, but if you get into the links, then there's really some information in there that I read it and it means nothing to me, but someone who has more of a mind, more of an electrical mind like Andrew does, some of those links will be very helpful. So yeah, thank you for that link. That's a good one for sure. What else? What else? What else? What else do you want to add to this? Just in general, I mean,
I just think of the world we could have right now. It's just absolutely amazing. We could have UFOs. We could have
UFOs. What you talking about? We do have UFOs.
I know, but they're hiding it from us. I've seen them. I had one in front of me one night driving down the road in 2012.
They're all over right now. They're all over. Big arcs are here.
I showed a video last night of a UFO going in front of an airplane. We could have that, but no, we got to pay for everything.
Is there anything about colloquial stories about this time or any of Tesla's time at Niagara Falls before the car that you want to share? You know, like when he and Westinghouse were working on building, you know, even you were talking about, I would love to have seen what it looked like before all the buildings were there. And when I was looking very quickly into that time when Tesla and Westinghouse were battling with Edison for the contracts to the Niagara Falls Power Company, in one of the articles that I looked at, which was like a history of the Niagara Falls Power Company or something like that, they had these really old photos of what it looked like then. Yeah, you would love those. Because it was like, what? I mean, the whole landscape of everything looked different. Are you taking us to the falls?
Yeah. I started out at 18 Mile Creek. It's right here. And this is Grand Island. You know, I found that book. They totally took Grand Island out of that book, Joyce. It made me.
You said that.
They cut the whole section out. And it made me so mad. I wrote to them, but I didn't hear nothing back. But in that old book, historical collection of the state of New York, I own 3 of those. It talks about this whole area was the first Israel right here. You're looking at the first Israel. And in the 1840s or something like that, or the 1830s, the Erie County Sheriff went in there and evicted them all, threw them off the island.
Wow. How many star forts are on that piece of land?
I don't know. You know, I never really looked at it that closely, but there probably are some there.
Well, let's zoom in a little bit.
This is the power project we were talking about. And this is the building right here that they took me into when I was a little kid.
that's the one I remember, yeah.
Yep.
I didn't get into it though. I didn't know you could go into it. I don't know that you still can, but I was, yeah, I definitely walked over there.
Well, I was with the school group, and my old painting was done right from this area right here.
Hmm,
There's a rock cairn there called Painter's Point, and it's on this road up on this cliff like,
hmm,
and you can see it. It's like about 12 feet tall. It's a big rock
really?
cairn. Yeah, it's huge, and it has a sign on it saying Painter's Point.
Wow.
But that's the building right there. They took us in there when I was a kid. Now I don't know what they're doing with it now. I don't have a clue.
When I was there, and this was, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, it was just like, if they were using it for anything, you wouldn't know. It just seemed like it was a preserved building when I
Yeah,
was
and
there.
it's kind of strange. I mean, why not do something with it? It's totally like it's there, but it's abandoned.
Well, because in it and underneath it as is part of the original technology that's Moorish,
Probably,
Tarkanian, whatever you want to call it.
probably, but I have pictures from Three Sisters Island. You can get really good pictures of it from over here. You wanted to look at Grand Island some more?
Yeah, yeah. Let's see if there's a star fort there.
You know, Grand Island, there's Navy Island too.
Yeah, that doesn't even look real, dude.
I know. And there's no absolutely nothing there.
Yeah, that does not even look real. That either that doesn't look real or that channel is completely terraformed.
There's something strange about it, Joyce, because I didn't even know about Navy Island until I started researching my old painting of the falls. And here it is right next to the falls.
Mm-hmm.
No, I never even heard of Navy Island.
See, look, those are like almost 90-degree angles in there. I mean, give me a freaking break. Seriously.
Yeah, and there's a big point here, isn't there?
Yeah, where the point could be real. I mean, but I just think that that's all terraformed. Like between Navy Island and then to the left, that looks like that's completely terraformed. Like that was all land and it was dug.
Well, plus they hide things with parks, right? What is here? A park.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And why is Navy Island just sitting there? No one ever goes there or uses it.
Well, what was it that we were looking at before? Let's see. I don't see anything that seems, sometimes if there's a star fort, even under the trees, you can see it. I don't see anything like that there.
I mean, this is prime real estate. Look at it. It's totally empty.
Yeah, well, there's a reason.
Oh, wait, there are shapes there, Joyce. Look.
Yeah, I saw that. That though, but those could be, that could be water, like low spots.
Yeah, but look at these straight lines. I don't know. It's weird. But
I
like
don't
I
see
said,
the straight lines you see.
it's
Oh,
weird.
I do see straight lines. No, that's okay. Go back to
They're right here. You can see them. They're
yeah,
square.
now when you pulled out, I could see it. Yeah. But then there was another what was the other island where everybody got thrown off of? What island was that?
I'm not sure. Oh, this is Grand Island.
Wait,
Grand Island right here.
was
This
that
is there
when you
might
when you first taught and you said in the 30s or whatever, someone went in and threw everybody off the land.
1830s.
Okay, well, whatever. What island was that?
Grand Island right here.
It was Grand Isle. Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah, okay. So let's see if we see a star fort.
there could be something here. I mean,
Go in just a little bit. Just a
this is
little
the
bit.
man.
Let's see.
Yeah, there could be something there.
So what is all that? That's suspicious as hell.
It's a park. Again, a park.
So do people live there?
Nope, not in this section.
So, well, on the island at all, do people live there? Or is it all
People
federal?
live here,
People do live there. Okay.
but the southern tip and the northern tip are parks.
Dude, that is so suspicious.
Hey, look at this. This looks like a dolphin,
It
doesn't it?
totally does. Yeah, it totally does.
It looks like
Just
a
that whole
dolphin.
thing is so damn suspicious.
And this looks
And
like a shark fin.
But look at the sacred geometry of the driveways. I mean, give me a freaking break. Look at that ornate circular driveway system.
And
Now
look at
here, down in there, oh my God, there's so much terraforming going on there.
yeah, look at the coastline and look at this weird
Look,
sea.
all those perfect circles.
Look at that.
Well, that's just a harbor of some sort.
I
That's
know.
obviously terraformed. But look at all the circles, Andrew.
Yeah, look at these. That's a golf course. It's got to be a golf course.
Well, I don't know.
Hide things under golf courses. It's
Golf
called
courses hide all kinds of things.
yeah, it's called Beaver Island Playground. It's got to be a golf course, Joyce. With those, these got to be greens. Yeah, and look at the sand traps.
Oh, golf courses hide so much. Well, that explains why there's all that ornate geometry on one hand. But let's keep looking. That also
Okay.
explains why the bodies of water are so ornate. But let's keep looking.
Oh,
Because
look, they got an island. I didn't even realize there was an island there. It's called Beaver Island for a reason. There's an island on Grand Island.
well, gosh, if that bay in it doesn't look terraformed, I don't know what does.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't trust any of this. No, if there's a golf course there, there's all kinds of stuff under the golf course. I'm just saying. That's what golf courses are. Because who would put a
Probably.
course there in the middle of the freaking Niagara River? Give me a break.
Yeah, I never even knew it was there.
See, guys, this is one of the things that Andrew and I do. We will find one of us will be looking at Google Earth and we'll take a screenshot and we'll send it to the other one and go, oh my God, look what I just find. And then we'll spend hours on Google Earth looking at things and acting like children.
There's another channel cut into it. Look.
Yeah, that's obviously terraformed. Yeah.
Looks like a banana.
Yeah. Well, just it's a development for the people that live there. Oh, that
Oh,
is
look, they got a Nike base, Joyce. Look. I didn't know they had one. Did you?
Oh shit.
Nike base means underground, baby. We got one here in Hamburg. Look at that. There's a Nike base. It looks active too.
Oh.
Huh. I didn't know that. I did not know there was a Nike base on Grand Island. I had no idea.
No surprise there at all, but you just might have found the golden ticket there, my friend.
Hmm. And why do they need so many of the damn things? You know, the one in Hamburg is only about 20 or 25 miles from here.
He's talking about Hamburg, New York, guys.
Yeah, Hamburg, New York. And they put Nike bases everywhere. You
Yeah,
probably had
I
one.
did a video and there's an old Nike base. What is the video I did? And there's an old Nike base on it. Oh, was it Singer Island? I can't remember.
Could be.
One of the videos I did, there's an old Nike base there. Was it Singer Island? I don't remember. I do so many videos I can't remember. And then a lot of times I just do quick little ones, but I do all the research that takes me days and days and days, but then I put together like a 10 or 15-minute video, but all the ephemera stays in my head. This is really, yeah, there is so much going on there. I mean, obviously that's all you can tell that those waterways are natural, but go up a little bit more.
This whole area is super marshy, Joyce. When you're driving the 190 here, this is all reeds. It's like a sea of reeds.
That's very convenient. Burnt Ship Creek. I want to know about the story behind that. Burnt Ship Creek.
Wow. Well, you know, if a ship went past this area, it's going to end up over the fall.
At that point, yeah, because how close are we?
Very close. There's
those days. Oh, okay, yeah. If you pass that one, yep. At what point?
Huh?
At what point can you not pull back?
There's a sign right around here that says it's pointed out towards the water that says don't go past this area.
Because you won't be able to turn around. Yeah, that's what I meant.
It's
Yeah.
it's right around here somewhere. It says it's like a big sign and it's pointed at the water
Yeah.
and it says don't go past this area. But it's happened, they've had boats almost go over
Oh gosh.
and boats that have gone over.
Well, I didn't find a star fort. Oh, go in. What's that? What's that? What's that? You see that? It's
Up,
like an old
down.
field of some sort. We didn't find a
This part,
star fort, but you found a Nike base.
this
That
part
thing.
here,
It's like an old baseball, not baseball, football or something, some kind of sports
this
thing.
here.
I think you
It's
found
got
an
to be a racetrack.
or something.
It's got to
Well,
be for horses, Joyce. It's a horse track.
horses. It looks old, whatever it
Yeah.
is. But you know,
Look
those
at
are
the.
that's all in ruin, looks like.
This looks like a very expensive property right here.
Well, but racetracks like golf courses are old hiders of old technology too.
Yeah, that's definitely an oval. Look at it.
Yeah, some kind of track. But it's all overgrown and what water had been there is reclaiming it. That's fascinating. No, I think the Nike base was the golden ticket.
Definitely.
But of course there's star forts around there. I just can't remember where they all are.
What's this thing?
Body of water of some sort. Probably what do you call it? Retention.
It looks like somebody dug it though.
Yeah, I think so. But it also looks pretty wild around there.
Grand Island, all these people have to pay every time they go home. There's Gun Creek,
Interesting.
but Grand Island doesn't have a lot of homes.
Probably a difficult place to live in.
Well, you
How
got to
many,
cross the bridge.
do
Huh?
you remember how many star forts are actually on the lake?
No, I never counted them. And in fact, I didn't know there was one in Fort Erie.
Right, that one that, well, yeah, that one that we found that day. Uh, on the Canada side.
Looks like another golf course here.
Yeah, golf courses hide many things.
Yeah, that's another golf course. What do you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
Weird. They got too many, right? How many golf courses do you need?
Well, like Jekyll Island, I think there are 6,
6.
and they're all Indian mounds. I mean, they don't even hide the fact that they're Indian mounds. They don't even hide it.
Wow. Another interesting area for star forts would be Chautauqua Lake. I never looked down there.
Let's take a look since we're kind of close.
Okay. I know exactly where it is. My mother had a cottage there. There's Eden, and we just passed over my house.
I have never gone over there to Chautauqua.
Here it is.
Okay.
My mother had a cottage right here, and you could see the lake. And the place that Salman Rushdie got stabbed is right here.
Oh. Oh,
These.
it's Mount Pleasant State Park. Okay.
Yeah, my mother had a house right here, and you could see the institute right here out of her windows.
So look at how terraformed that is up there. Up at like 1 o'clock. That whole side of the lake is so terraformed. The rest of it looks pretty natural, but the top, dude, so altered. But the lake, for the most part, looks natural.
It's a strange lake, though. People die there a lot snowmobiling. They fall in and drown. You wouldn't think they'd have such a problem with it, but they do. But
So,
it's just a long lake,
so
and
now, is that Chautauqua Lake as well?
yeah, this is Jamestown. This is where Lucia Ball's from.
Oh, and Elmhurst. Okay, but that's still Chautauqua Lake.
Yes, it's all Chautauqua Lake.
Interesting. And then what is that thing at the bottom? Like, look at that. At the very
Not sure what.
the center. Look at that. Look at that. What is that?
I don't know what that is. It's weird, ain't it?
Wow, that is something.
Yep.
And then there's a 90-degree angle something inside of it.
Yep.
That is something. That canal is not a coincidence.
And there's a park right next to it, so
That is something right there.
they love to hide things in parks, don't they?
Well, yeah, because then it becomes state land or county land or national land. Like everything here in St. Augustine, is you can't touch anything. You can't find the tree.
There's an old whistle stop amusement park here too.
Really?
Yes. It's called Midway Park, and it's you can see, I've gone there quite a bit. You can see where the tracks used to come in and out of it. It's definitely a whistle stop park. I didn't even realize that till I figured it out on my own.
Because those are all that's all technology too.
I'm trying to find it. It's called Midway Park, and it's a really interesting place. I'm not sure where it is on the lake though.
That's a fascinating body of water. I mean, it is terraformed a little bit, but
Here it is. It's a state park now.
Midway
It's
State Park.
state park. So you can see the track line. See the straight. This
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
the track was, Joyce, right
Midway
here.
State Park. Yeah, I see.
And
Yeah, yeah.
and left going that way. It's
Interesting.
called Lake Grove now, and these are all rides. But it's a state park.
Well, of course, because those rides are ancient technology.
And under
People
here,
didn't know what to do with the technology they found, and so they turned it into rides because they can make money because they didn't know how to use the technology. They didn't know how to use Antiquitech. All the
mhm,
rides at the 1901 Buffalo exhibition were the same thing. People didn't know how to use them, so they turned them into rides and attractions and cycloramas and all kinds of stupid crap. Roller coasters.
yep. This one dates to 1898.
That water thing, golf course, whatever that is, holy cow.
Yep.
You should go there.
I've been there many times, and I'm surprised that it's a state park now. I think what they did was they couldn't afford to keep operating because of taxes, so they donated it to the state, so they wouldn't have to pay taxes. But it's still operating.
Yeah, that's all old technology. Merry-go-rounds were old technology that they didn't understand either.
This
That's probably
building is a
merry-go-round, that's probably a merry-go-round under there.
this building is a merry-go-round. It's a
Yeah.
Herschel merry-go-round.
Oh, of course, it's not, it wasn't a merry-go-round, obviously. It was some
Yep.
kind of hydro thing.
And this is a game room like, and this is for skating. There's
Oh,
like a second floor with one big room, and it's for skating. But this is Midway State Park.
interesting. Yeah, if you could get into those trees, the things that you would find.
And right next to it is a private Viking lodge.
Whatever.
My mother used to be part of this club, and she had a trailer. They have like a camping area here,
Uh-huh.
and she had a trailer in the Viking Lodge Park. So
Let's go back to the falls and find a star fort and then call it a night.
sure,
That was interesting though, Midway Park.
Chautauqua was very interesting place.
I know there's so much history there.
Now, these are the holding ponds they made to make power. So they don't make power over here. They make power over here now. But there could be other things. I know there's tunnels on the Canadian side,
Of course.
but the whole area is so interesting. There's a cave here called Devil's Cave.
I don't know about that. Is
Have
there
you
a star fort on Goat Island? That's where it would be, I think.
There probably is. This was the country's first park right here. So what were they trying to hide, Joyce?
Well, you can see by the sacred geometry walking out to the point there
Mhm.
that probably underneath that parking lot's a star fort. Let's see if we can see it in the trees.
Well, there could be something there.
I can't tell by looking under, there's something under that parking lot.
Probably. they paved over a good portion of it,
Yeah, yeah.
but they had to, to park cars out there.
Well, right, right. Yeah, whatever.
I came
Yeah.
out here tonight after I saw the UFO. I came out here and I stood out here by this, by the right next to the falls. Right here, I stood, and I don't know why I did this. I still can't figure this out. I just went there in the middle of the night. It was closed then, and I had to sneak in there, and I climbed over the rail and I stood as close to the falls as I possibly could, right here, and I felt the magnificent power of the falls. I wasn't suicidal or nothing, and I still can't figure out what I was doing there. But I climbed over this rail and I stood right here.
You wanted to tap into the ether.
Man, was it one hell of a feeling, Joyce. The falls are powerful, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I was just in awe the whole time I was there. And I actually spent more time on the Canadian side. But
Mhm.
yeah, there's so much sacred geometry in both of the park areas that I'm just noticing. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
There's
Yeah.
probably strange things on Canada. I'm sure there's tons of strange things in Canada. Definitely. But that's the falls, guys. The mysterious falls that gave us our modern world.
Yeah. Go over there where it says Niagara City Cruises. Go over there a little bit. See, there's some stuff in there.
This is where they take the boats out for the winter because they can't leave them with the ice. They take them out over here, but
Oh, okay, okay.
in America, they wouldn't let them do that. They wouldn't take out our boat anymore. So we had to build a special boat lift over here for the winter. They had to put in a crane to lift the boat out for the winter because the
Uh-huh.
Canadians got their panties in a bunch, said you couldn't keep your boat here no more.
Mm.
But this wall along here is really old too. You were asking me about the wall.
Yes.
This
Yeah,
wall is really old.
it is old. I remember that. Oh, and there's the Tesla statue. It's noted as being there. It said Nikola Tesla statue.
Oh, the
Oh,
one that we were looking at is over here somewhere on the American side. That's the Canadian
uh-huh.
side. And there's caves under here. I've been under them. They're really fascinating. If you ever go to the falls on the Canadian side, check out these caves. You can
Yeah,
go
I've done that. Yeah,
on that. Isn't it fun?
yeah. You go down that long ass elevator.
Yeah. And
It's
the
really
falls,
weird. And the
it,
further you go, the damper it is. It's so weird.
the power of the falls is amazing, isn't
And
it?
then you walk out and you're like on the water. Like the falls are like falling in front of you. It's unbelievable. Oh my goodness.
Yep. Journey behind the falls.
Yeah, I love that.
But this whole area is littered with tunnels. This whole area on both sides of the falls. So who knows what's up with those tunnels, man?
Well, part of the technology that we didn't build, you know,
Yep. There's
like I
something.
think Edison, Westinghouse, and Tesla built everything. I think, they found things and they had to find boys that were smart enough to know how to figure out how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
They figured out good. But when they found the round, spinny things, they couldn't figure that out. So they turned them into amusement parks. But that was all technology too. There are several people that have presented really interesting videos about all the round rides, the rides that go in circles are all part of old water treatment plants. And if you look at water treatment plants from Google Earth, and then you look at some of these rides, it's kind of like, huh, huh, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
On the video, which video was that? Oh, the one about the one where I found that ley line, I found the line that went from Jekyll Island through the Georgia Guidestones all the way up to Benson Point, Michigan.
Mm.
There was and you remember, and there was an old amusement park that was there, and there was a Frank Lloyd Wright property, a star-shaped hotel. Oh, really? Yeah, he didn't build that. It was there. But yeah, there was most of it is gone, but there were old pictures of, and I can't remember the name of the amusement park. It was right on Lake Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if and I took a picture of an old aerial view of that and line it up next to a water treatment plant. And it's one of those pictures like I've seen in other people's work. Michelle Gibson's one of them. It's like those were water treatment plants.
Mm.
You know, we think that we did all this stuff. We didn't do squat. You know, there's some people that say that Star Forts, one of the purposes of Star Forts was sewage collection and processing, turning water, everything you can do to turn water.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we now?
There used to be a really nice park right here at Crystal Beach.
Hmm.
Took it out for some reason.
Is that Canada or New York? Oh, Thunder Bay. Okay, I know where you are.
This is Canada. This is Lake Erie in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But there used to be a really nice park there. My grandpa used to swim there from Buffalo. It's 15 miles.
Wow.
But the weird thing is, why is this all pixelated? What is so strange about this
First of
shore?
all, they don't want us to see all the shipwrecks.
It's weird though. Look at it. You
They don't
can't.
want us to see all the shipwrecks because they don't want people jumping in the water and going out there and messing around.
It's just like Inner Bay. You know how they have that all
Oh
pixelated.
my God. I bet it's a big sinkhole. A cenote. I think it's a cenote. I'm working on the Lake Huron video now, and there are so many sinkholes in Lake Huron.
You know that makes sense, Joyce. It really does.
Sinkholes in Lake Huron?
No, the Inner Bay being a sinkhole.
Oh, massive, massive sinkhole. Like freaking portal size sinkhole.
That's why they would cover it up. They don't want you to see it.
Right. Well, it's like there is a whole lake under Lake Superior, and there might be another lake under that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which that's kind of the whole structure of what sinkholes are about. And um, uh, you know, the Laurentine Ridge, which goes from Michigan to Ontario through Lake Huron, is supposed to be like the oldest mountain range in North America. It's completely buried underwater, but that's supposed to be the oldest mountain range in North America, the oldest fresh water source in North America.
All this pixelation just seems so unnecessary.
Well, it's irritating as hell, isn't it? And of course, they don't want you to see the shipwrecks.
Look at it all.
I know. I know. And that's a
It's
really interesting area too. I learned a lot about Fort Rowan there when I was doing my video. I didn't all get into the video, but Fort Rowan is a very interesting area. That's the oldest untouched deciduous forest in Canada, for one thing. Yeah, that's a very interesting area.
yeah. And why is it like that? That's
And
weird.
old cut.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Cut.
Yeah, what has happened to that? I mean, look at that piece of geology. What has happened there? A lot has been done there.
I was going to ask the Coast Guard about all the pixelation and see what they say. What do you think they'll tell me, Joyce?
BS, because they're saying what they have to say. I don't blame them. They're not going to tell you.
They'll probably just say no comment.
They can't let you see all the shipwrecks. And it's funny too, because if you look at pictures just on Google Earth, I mean, it's like if somebody throws out their drone and it sends their drone out from their boat or something on any of the Great Lakes, there's freaking shipwrecks everywhere. You can see them from a drone, especially like Lake Huron, which is supposed to be the cleanest of all the lakes because of all the mussels they've introduced. They filter the water.
Yeah,
Yet you look at this and you don't see a single shipwreck.
I know. And we have zebra mussels too. They're not natural to the Great Lakes, though.
Yeah, well, what I read is in Lake Huron, they like them because they're keeping the water clean. But there's other problems, like you've got lampreys, right, which are really destructive. In Lake Huron, the lampreys are. Oh, look at that, Presque Isle. Look at that. Look at that.
This is where they keep the battleship Niagara.
Oh,
They keep it at Presque Isle Bay.
and look at that one pixel. Look at those 90-degree angle pixelations. Make me laugh.
Yeah, look at this.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm. And the warship Niagara is the one that won the Battle of Lake Erie
Oh, okay.
from the War of 1812.
And
It's
that channel's very interesting. Is that a lock or just a landlocked channel?
yeah, it looks like it looks made, doesn't it?
Well, definitely. But is it a lock? Oh, no, it's just a channel. It's a channel. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a Coast Guard station. See, that's the stuff that I look at.
Yep. There's
Look
one
at
around the Buffalo Lighthouse too.
and look at right east of houseboats. Look at this. Look at the formation of the sand.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. Look at
Yeah.
all that. That's very suspicious. Look at
Yeah.
that.
What are those things?
Oh, you know what that might be? It might be that's like there's a lot of wave action. So it's all swirly. That's what it is. I thought it was sand formation. That's swirl. There's a lot of swirl. Like when you look at a river and you see a boat on the river and it's like it's all swishy, it's because it's the wake from the boat. So there's a lot going on in Thompson Bay. When the drones took those photos or the satellites took those photos, there was a lot of interference. It's probably high tide, right? So everything's lapping up on shore.
There's no tides in the lake.
Well, whatever. There's just that's like silt and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
interference.
This is weird though. These houseboats, we don't have these in Buffalo. I wonder why they have them in Erie and not in Buffalo.
Is that Canada?
No, this is Erie, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
This is Presque Isle.
oh, okay.
Horseshoe Pond.
Interesting. It's also altered.
Look at this Misery Bay, Joyce.
Is that a lighthouse on that point?
Could be.
Right there, yeah.
Crystal Point.
Crystal Point. Looks like a lighthouse.
It is. It's a
It's an obelisk. Holy shit. Oh my God. Can you 2D it? So we can look at it like straight on. Can you change it from 3D to 2D? Yeah, look at that. Oh my God.
well, I guess that's a power center, huh?
Oh.
Look, it's surrounded by water.
Oh, well, of course it is. And yeah. Oh shit. That's very old technology. And it has a ball it has a cathode at the top too, doesn't it? This is Pennsylvania? Yeah, it's got a cathode on
Yeah,
the top.
this is great.
Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's really strange obelisks like that with cathode balls on top. All over Lake Erie. I didn't even touch on any of that. I mean, that would have been a whole other video. Those kind of very distinctive obelisks with cathodes on top. Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
look at the land it's on.
Yeah.
The whole thing looks manufactured, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, all of that looks manufactured. And why is it called Crystal Point? I mean, is there are there caverns underneath there which would make the potential for that place to be an energetic power station, all the more increased. Why would it be called crystal? Because in what is it? Put on Bay in Ohio. Put on Bay is this massive crystal cavern system. So there's lots of crystalline development under the lakes. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that's pretty regular shape there. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. So now that makes me, I wonder if there's crystal deposits under there.
look, there's nothing else out here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence.
Yeah, it's just a
It's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence.
people got to look at their world and go, "What the hell?" Don't they?
Well, that's kind of what we're here for.
This is strange. I had no idea this was here.
That's better than finding a star for that right there. Because
No idea.
that's a cathode ball one. Yeah, surrounded by water. Yeah. It's not called crystal. Yep. Wow.
And they're not showing detail either. Look how
Well, and it looks like there was more Antiquitech on top that's been removed.
they pixelated it too. They won't even let you look at it.
Well, but that's kind of that's the 2D effect. But the 2D you can kind of zoom in like that and see it. 3D you can only look down from the top. 2D you can get up on it, and stand and look at it, kind of thing.
It
I
looks
think
like,
that's part of the 2D thing. Yeah,
wow.
that's
It's like something running through it. Like, look, see it? I wonder what that is.
I think that's just shadow.
Yeah, that's a shadow. You're right. You can see it. It's a shadow.
Yeah, so is it also like what do you call it? What do you call it?
Oh,
Sundial?
sundial. Yeah, look at these markers.
Yeah,
Look at this.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
I just noticed that it's got regular marks all the way
You have a
around
new
it.
project, Andrew. You should go. How far is that from you?
90 miles.
Day trip.
Oh, I love Erie. I had a great uncle that lived there. My great uncle Archie. He was an engineer.
So
Weird.
we've been at it a while. We've been at it well over an hour.
Yes, we
Oh,
have.
I'm totally gonna look into that. Misery Bay. I'm all into that. So so guys, thank you for those of you that hung out this whole time. We started on one thing and ended up on another because that's kind of how Andrew and my brain work. And it's part of why we're such good friends. We started with Tesla and we didn't end up that far away from Tesla. We still ended up in the Tesla power place. But yeah, I love Andrew and I always find interesting things. So
Hey, look at this Joyce Niagara Pond.
no, stop. We have to let people go. I'm totally
Okay.
Misery Bay though. Crystal Point, dude, I'm looking into that.
Okay.
So Andrew, please let everybody know where they can find you.
I'm everywhere. Andrew Zebrun lll. Find me on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, and all the above.
YouTube is not his main channel because he's been slogged a few times.
Oh,
I subscribe to Andrew on YouTube too, but he's more active on Rumble and he has a great Telegram channel. And I'm not on the other things like Gab and Facebook and all that. He is. I'm not on any of that, but he has a really good, really interesting YouTube channel, Telegram channel. And of course, I'm here on YouTube and I'm on Rumble. Medusa was framed, and my Telegram is Rise Medusa. Medusa was framed. Rise Medusa, and that's it. Those are the only places I am. So thank you guys for hanging out, and we hope you enjoyed. And Andrew puts out at least 2 videos a day. And I'm telling you, I know how long it takes to do what I do. I don't know how this guy gets anything done in life because his videos are so full of information. And I think he reads everything that's written every day because his videos are just goofy, insane. He finds so much information.
It just
And his
comes.
videos are long. His videos are not 10 minutes. They're at least an hour, twice a day. His videos are just massive, massive. So, yeah. So, yeah, Misery Bay. Oh my God, I'm looking into this. So thank you, my friend. Thank you for hanging with me. Thank you for all your Tesla input. And oh my God, thank you for Crystal Boyd and Misery Bay.
You're welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
We're very grateful to have you with us. Thank you. Bye, Andrew. Bye, guys.
Bye. Love you all.
See you tomorrow.
You're still recording.
The same thing happened this time as last time. I tried to stop it, and when I went to hit the stop recording, it's like the